Porn photographers, what is the most naughtiest moment you had? Story 1.
I do boudoir photography as a side hustle, and you'd be amazed how quickly tasteful can turn into tacky or downright raunchy. And awkward. There's a ton of that just by virtue of the work, but here are my top 3 examples. A bride decided to do a photo shoot for her groom. She comes in with an assortment of outfits, progressively provocative, and one of them is the classic white bridal lingerie getup, which we decide to save for last. The shoot is going well, bride isn't nervous and is actually pretty fun and chill. She poses in some cool looks, like a sexified baseball jersey to rep their team and a dorky-ass elf outfit a la latter. We get to the end of the shoot and it's time for the super sexy wedding night look. Bride touches up her makeup and she is looking hot. I send her off to get changed because the outfit consists of stockings, garters, a corset, the whole shebang, and I want her to have enough time for a good assortment of posing options. As I'm making a few adjustments to the lighting, I hear a scream from the back. I rush to the dressing area and call the bride's name. I find her, half-dressed and sobbing, clutching one of her breasts. I look a little closer and there's blood on her hand and her breast. I ask her what happened, but she's too upset to speak. I ask if she can show me, so she moves her hand and then I fucking scream. It turns out she didn't know what the garter clip was for and mistook it for some type of kinky nipple clamp shit. The thing cut her so badly she ended up needing stitches. A few weeks later, we were able to rush an appointment for her to finish the shoot in time for her wedding, but she decided to leave the stockings and their accoutrements behind for the final go. 2. Another good one was when a young woman treated herself to a photo shoot for her 21st birthday. She said it was all about giving herself a confidence boost, but I had a hard time believing it because she was definitely the conventionally gorgeous type. I asked her about it and she was very candid. She explained that, while she was physically attractive and in great shape, for some reason, whenever relationships started to get serious, sexual, the person would just ghost her. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out why that would be, so I told her as much. She got changed and we got started. Things were going smoothly and she was having a good time. She was an absolute knockout and a natural with posing. We were really enjoying ourselves, talking throughout the process and getting to know one another. The time came for some more close-up shots, so I talked through what that could look like, let her decide how she wanted to stage them and whether she wanted to be fully nude or partially. She decided on fully nude and went to the dressing area to get herself situated. She comes back and I have her take her robe off and stretch out on a chaise in the studio. I start with some full body shots and move a bit closer every few shots. I get to be about a foot away from her and I am hit with the most intense smell. I know that it can't possibly be coming from anywhere but her body. I get a little closer to confirm my suspicions and yup, it's definitely coming from her vagina. Now I am not in the all pusses smell camp at all. I mean, have you guys ever had your nose near some balls? So, I figure there has got to be something going on with this girl's health or hygiene and decide to bite the bullet and talk to her about it. I don't beat around the bush, I just say, hey, lady, I have to be honest with you, there's a bit of a smell down here. She doesn't even look surprised and she looks at me like I have 3 heads and tells me, of course there is, I keep my flower wild. We get to talking about it in depth and I learn that not only does she not groom her pubic area, she also doesn't wash it. Her mother warned her against using feminine cleaning products and she took that to mean all cleaning products. Fam, I gave her a clothed demonstration of how I wash myself, handed her a bar of soap, and let her use the shower in my attached apartment to remedy that situation immediately. She came back with a smile on her face and a song in her heart and we finished the shoot without incident. That could have gone a whole different way, but to this day she tells me I changed her life. 3. I saved this one for last because it was the most awkward for me. I don't often shoot couples, for various reasons. However, a really good friend of mine asked very nicely and I always had a little crush on her so I said yes. I was confused though, because I'd never met her partner and was kind of surprised to hear she was dating someone and it was serious enough for an erotic photo shoot. She admitted it was new, but she was just so into him that she had to go for it. We set the date and talked logistics and all seemed fine. The day of the shoot comes around and I'm nervous, I hate couples shoots, y'all. They arrive and we do introductions. Something about the boyfriend seems familiar but also kind of off, but I just roll with things. They change clothes and we start off with some cheesy, look into her eyes shit to ease into the naked stuff. We get into a rhythm and things are actually not terrible, so we take a break to get ready for the next set of shots. This is where it gets awkward. The boyfriend comes out first and he just kind of stares at me. He starts talking and tries to pull the whole "you're too pretty to be behind the camera" thing, and I'm like, dude, chill. Then he looks at me with a weirdly intense expression and asks, "Do you remember me?" To which the only answer, dear reader, was hell the fuck no. My friend, his girlfriend, returns and I can't wait to get started so we can be finished. As soon as they remove their robes, shit gets really awkward. I notice boyfriend has a small tattoo on his left hip depicting a sort of hipster arrow adventure situation. That looked familiar, friends. But then, I look over at his right hip and see a tattoo of similar size with my fucking, and rather uncommon, name. And that's when I remember the guy. I went on 3 dates with him, over the course of 2 weeks, and then broke it off with him because he had some serious red flags. My friend notices my face and is like, "Oh, yeah, the tattoo. That's his one that got away, from a while back. Weird that you have the same name though." I look at her and I know I can't lie, so I flat out say, "Oh, I think that's is my name." Her boyfriend then starts crying and coming toward us both, naked and with a very confusing erection, calling out, not for his current girlfriend of nearly 6 months, but for me. I nope the fuck out of there and let them talk. It gets awfully quiet so I head back in to check on things, only to find my friend is nowhere to be found and her boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, is quietly sobbing and masturbating in the middle of the studio floor. I just left him there and sent my guy friend to get him out of there for me while I checked on the girlfriend. She broke up with him on the spot and left, because she couldn't face me. She made sure he still paid me, though, and promised to never ask me to do a couples shoot again.
Story 2.
I used to shoot fetish and BDSM porn in college and for a few years after I graduated college. 2010-16ish, I have a degree in photography and was in Boy Scout and I'm very good at knots, so a friend got me into it by helping tie up men and women and photographing them for her fetish site. This led to me doing tons of more work. The worst is feeder porn work. These poor women would just eat on camera and then vomit and gag all over themselves. It was pretty rough stuff to photograph and film. Also, it would make me kind of sad because these women would gain large amounts of weight quickly between each time you'd work with them and it just didn't seem healthy. As has been said already, the worst part is the smells. Group sex scenes, and the feeder scenes, the smells were enough to make you gag sometimes. Also, if you want to make decent money you have to do both gay and straight scenes, which as a straight male at first is really odd, but you get used to it shockingly quick. The worst part is you become kinda numb to it all when you are behind the camera. Like, you will meet your model and she will be very attractive, but as soon as you're behind the camera it becomes very much so a job and you become focused on getting a good shot and the lighting correct. The awkwardness of them being naked and masturbating or having sex in front of you disappears so quick. You sort of become numb to it all, to the point in your personal life nudity and sex doesn't affect you the same. One of the most awkward things was when models would show up with their boyfriends who would just be like really weird and awkward in the set background. Like, it would almost always be buff military or former military dudes or wannabe MMA fighter types, and they'd stand cross-armed off to the side and being very encouraging to their girlfriends/boyfriends while watching them get fucked. I personally just always found that odd. I understand they came, I guess, to make them feel safe, but some of the weird things they'd say would always make you scratch your head. Only got came on once and it just grazed my leg. Got squirt droplets hit me a few times. Never really got involved with the scenes other than that and tying people up. Honestly, sets were much more professional than I imagined when I was younger. Most of the porn girls were not like crazy whores who wanted to fuck constantly, it was literally them turning it on and off for the camera. I worked with a smaller budget company, so I never saw fluffers, and I honestly question if they really exist. It would be common to see the guys sort of just casually be jerking off between shots to keep it up. Which is sort of weird. You'd be talking to them about asserting a shot up and they'd just be jerking it the whole time. Pay was pretty good. Usually on set days was about $60 an hour paid out in 4-hour blocks, so even if you worked 6 hours you'd get paid for 8, which was cool. You're an independent contractor / freelance even if you tend to just work for one company.
Story 3.
So in college I helped shoot and edit a couple porn videos for rent money. Definitely amateur, but we had a decent production budget behind it. I'd say no more than 9 people were on the set, so the 2 performers, 2 people on sound, 2 on cameras, the director, choreographer, and myself acting as tech support and gopher. There was a smell, sure, but I didn't notice it much for normal shoots. We were in an apartment with AC and had working showers, so everyone was clean and the area we were in was well ventilated. The worst it ever got was when we were doing a piss scene and the male performer just couldn't get a good stream going, it'd just dribble out. So we'd cut, have him pound a Gatorade, take a vitamin, run water in the background, wait, try again, repeat. We did this 5 times, it took 2.5 hours. In between each take we had about 20 minutes, to reset, get the female performer's hair redone, makeup retouched, and the dribble dick hard again. We eventually went for a POV shot, with dribble dick supplying the audio, and the director supplying the stream from his own hose. But during all this time we're in a cramped bedroom with a woman covered in several loads of cum and piss, with extremely hot studio lights, and 7 other people all moving around and sweating. Porn is great and I had a lot of fun working and chilling with the people who make it, but it's tough and it's definitely not getting paid to have sex. I've worked on only 2 shoots where the performers actually had full-on sex from start to finish. Most of the time it's start and stop, with choreographed positions and angles, lighting issues, sound issues, retakes, bloopers, accidental anal slips, bathroom breaks, softening erections, and personal drama. Edit, got a couple people DM me asking the same questions. Rates for performers varies wildly. We were a small independent team, making content for a local adult store and a few online patrons. Our female performers were paid about $700-ish for full-on vaginal intercourse, our male performers were paid $350-ish, anal, BJs, etc. would add extra cost on both ends. Male performers that did gay content would get $500-ish each, whoever bottomed generally got a bump in pay, never more than $100. Blowjobs, handjobs, frottage, etc. generally upped the price. Men get paid less on average, because once they pop they're done. Even if they can get hard again, we can't use them for a new scene because no one wants to see thin watery jizz in their porn. Women on the other hand, hose M down, redo the makeup, throw some clothes on M and you can start shooting a new scene right away. It's not fair, but it's how it works.
Story 4.
When I was 18 I started shooting porn for the owner of our local sex toy store chain. I answered an ad on Craigslist. I was shooting a scene of him and his girlfriend and he nicked the inside of his dick on her tooth in a hardcore blowjob scene. Shot blood like a water pistol with every heartbeat for about a minute or so. He was 50 or so and we shot with his 18Y/O girlfriend, who I knew from a different school and had basically run away from home. She lived with him and was kept in a strict BDSM relationship, wearing a collar that purposely limited head movement, 24/7. She took care of his kids in between shooting dildo scenes with me, totally healthy everything. Another time we hired a random guy, by putting a sign in his toy store with a picture of his girlfriend and the W caption, "You wanna fuck this," who showed up to the hotel, couldn't get hard, completely normal, performance pressure is a thing, then drank an entire 5th of rum in 10 minutes, tried to do it soft. He got so sad but couldn't show it, so then he drove off. Which the producer allowed him to do. This was a truly terrible experience for me. The way sex can be so degrading to everyone involved if it's controlled by toxicity and shitty values. So now I make ethical porn. That shows how sex can be lovely and consensual and not incredibly abusive, truly awesome.
Story 5.
My dad's in the industry as an erotic photographer, sometimes stepping close to the line to straight up porn. I help him out sometimes during shoots, they are a lot of fun most of the time, everyone is really chill and cool to talk to. He offers courses for other photographers who are trying to start out in the industry. These often take place over the span of a few days in an exotic setting. For example, on islands like Mallorca or Ibiza, we often had run-ins with the police from different countries because tourists called them lol. He often gets criticism. People call him out for objectifying women and such. And yeah, the industry is brutal and some photographers are assholes. This is why my dad has a moral codex written down on his website and online profiles, which is something that, surprisingly, not many photographers have. Some modeling agencies are straight up awful, going as far as only allowing the models to eat a certain amount of food per day, the only allowed snack during shoots. For a former model, he had some shootings were TikToks, or to restrict their personal life, preventing them from having boyfriends, controlling their social media, which is why my dad nowadays only works with freelancing models, both male and female. You often hear stories about photographers and models fucking behind the scenes. This is true, to an extent. Some do it and fully embrace it, however not without consent from the models. My dad sees his work more as an art form than a pure sex thing. Most of his work is pretty artistic or provocative. Imagine nuns having lesbian sex using crosses as toys, for example, or severely over/underweight models in stereotypically sexy poses. People often ask me if I believe him when he says that he'd never touch a model, and yeah, I do. I have so many stories and anecdotes to tell, ranging from funny to tragic and creepy. If there's a demand, I could tell some. Edit, holy shit, this blew up. I'll get back to everyone as soon as possible. I'll just respond to every comment asking for a story with a different one.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to comment your opinion about these stories, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new stories.